So I'm very excited about this corporate interview. Usually corporate interviews are in boardrooms, but if you really want to test if a CMD knows what they're doing, the best way to do it is to see him in action. And that's exactly what we're doing with Manish Tiwary, who's at the helm of Nestle India. Manish, great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tamanna.
So we're testing your legendary cooking skills today while talking about your stint at the helm of one of India's largest consumer companies, FMCG players. What are you making for us today?
One of my fondest memories of the Nestle brands is Milkmaid. You know, 30 years back when you would have visitors and visitors would never announce themselves. It's not like what happens today. Visitors would just land up and they would stay over for dinner. And my dad and mom both used to work. And my mom had this hack for dessert, which was she would ask me or my sisters to run and get some bread. You fry the bread and pour Milkmaid on top of it and it becomes Shahi Tukda. Yeah. We always hoped that the guests would say no for the dessert so that the three of us, my two sisters and I, could eat all of it. So I have very, very fond memories of Milkmaid. And that's what we'll make today, kheer using Milkmaid.
Okay, so let's get started.
Awesome, come. The place where we are cooking, Tamanna, is our creative kitchen.
Stint of yours, and first of all, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
CMD of Nestle, change of guard at the head of the company after 10 years.
Yep.
Obviously, a lot of kheer making.
Yep.
But what else has been going on? What in terms of strategy and priority do you chalk out for yourself? What do you do with a brand which has been around for so long, where you want to keep stability, but also change things up?
Yeah, you know, it's a, first of all, it's a privilege and an honor to lead a company which has been around for 113 years. There are very few companies which could claim that in India. And worldwide, it's been there since 1866. Yeah. I think I've been a little lucky and a little blessed that I got a chance to work on brands in a CPG company in India for the first 2 decades and then work on technology for the next decade. And those are some of the learnings I bring to this role. A lot of time people ask me, what would you change at Nestle? Actually, nothing. It's not broken. It's working well. If you look at over the last 10 years, the last decade, we've had double-digit growth, great shareholder return, and our brands have strengthened. But we always say that in India, Nestle has to be, our tagline is fast, focused, and flexible. And the definition of fast keeps on changing. You know, what was fast? I used to work in e-commerce. We thought same-day delivery was fast. Now it's 10 minutes.
10 minutes delivery,
so keeping that in mind, I think the first thing for me, which is very, very important, it's the basics, but it's always important to keep on reminding myself and my entire team, is the extreme importance of customer centricity. Too often, we can be guilty of first putting a financial proposal and then fixing a consumer proposition onto it. In my humble opinion, it does not work. If the consumer proposition is awesome, you can do the financial modeling to suit it. Yeah. So that's very, very important. I mean, every time I have a meeting, I do follow the principle of my previous organization. I look at the empty chair and assume she's sitting there and watching what we are doing. Yeah. I say she because most of our consumers are women who cook in this country. And there are two aspects to that whole thing. One is when I was describing the creative kitchen, food is local, tastes are local. Even India does not have one uniform taste. And it's so important to keep that in mind when we are sitting in Gurgaon and thinking about our consumers.
Yeah.
So we have to think of every segment. It's like, we had a chicken noodle in Northeast. It does really well. The team worked really hard to enhance the flavor and actually bring the price down. So we now sell it for 10 rupees and it's become a major hit in that part of the country. Yeah. But you have to think segment wise. You know what people call micro targets now? You can't think of a country. And the second thing is, if you want to be so customer focused, you need to ensure all your people have the right data to be able to track that.
Manish, I'm getting stressed
Yeah.
about the milk.
Don't worry. There is years of expertise in this. So.
I'm sure. I'm sure. But milk can be tricky.
I know. Which is why I kept it at very low heat.
At very low heat. So is that also the idea? Because you have to bring in continuity, but turn up the gas to some extent. Yes, I agree. Nothing is broken with Nestle. I mean, your Q2 numbers were actually better than the street expected. So great way to start your stint also with a good quarter behind you. GST transition was handled well by Nestle. Inventory and all of that was managed well. Do you see this continuing on the same pace for the rest of the financial year? Yeah,
I think you used a very good parallel of cooking. If you sort of turn on the heat too much, the food burns. You can do it fast, but you can break the sort of the end output. I think the only two areas which I am looking to dial up is the use of technology, which I believe can remarkably change the way, especially to make us fast and flexible. And the second is, how do we use that same technology to make us more cost optimized, and how do we save that and invest behind our brands? You mentioned about last quarter. I think it was a good quarter. We had a double-digit growth. 3 out of our 4 businesses had double-digit volume growth, which is very, very critical. Volume is at the heart of this business. And it was driven, I think, by a remarkable, seamless execution by the 8,000 plus people who work for us and the 30,000 distribution partners we have. There was a lot of ambiguity in the market. Everyone was wondering what would happen, how to do it.
The GST rate change,
And I think the transparent communication we had with all the partners and the fact that they worked with us, a lot of them are been with us for 2 generations. That's how it landed so well. Going forward, Tamanna, my read is even the Nielsen market growths are now getting very, very healthy. So if you think about 2024, there were times when the urban growth was actually negative in terms of value. Last 2 quarters, even urban growths are in double digits. Rural, of course, has always been tracking around 1.4 to 1.5 times the growth. And I think 3 things have happened. And it's very difficult to put the causality on just one of them because that might not be arithmetically accurate. I think the tax relief, the income tax piece, the GST, and a general uplift in consumer sentiment. I think they're coming together. And I see 2026 as the year of volume growth for our industry.
Are you seeing a premiumization trend? Because that actually is the game, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
People switching up to higher end products in the same category.
There are, I would say there are 20 to 30 million households, depending on how you look at it. And I'm using credit card usage, the frequency of usage as a surrogate for it. They consume like Europeans. So today we are standing in Gurgaon and I would want every house in Gurgaon to have an espresso machine. Because they can afford it, they're exposed to it, and now courtesy the route to market, especially quick commerce. Earlier, if you walked into a store, at max they could have 5,000 SKUs, 6,000 SKUs because real estate is so expensive. Today, one of our best-selling SKUs on quick commerce in the NCR region is a Nescafe roastery. It comes in medium roast and black roast. Now, in the physical store, it was difficult to search for. Now, what happens is because of the search algorithms, the moment the consumer types Nescafe, and if he or she has bought roastery, it comes up on top. So I think that route to market is definitely helping the premiumization journey.
So e-commerce, which is now, I think, about 7% of revenue?
Closer to 9%, give or take a few points.
Okay. Where do you see that going? Since you're coming from that large marketplace, tech-backed background, is that the secret sauce or the secret sugar sprinkle in the context of the kheer that we're making that you're hoping to add to a brand which is very well known, but it needs a bit of that ingredient X?
Tamanna, I think, I think 10 years back, there were similar forecasts made for organized trade. If you go back, and I used to work in a CPG company 15 years back, that I think the first thing I must say is the traditional trade, your local kirana wala, the resilience is enormous, and there are services they provide which organized can never. I continue to see them as being the backbone. But there are 2 things which are happening, which is very exciting for us at Nestle. One, take quick commerce. We talk so much about it. They probably have 6,000 dark stores. I've run dark stores earlier. They're small. You can't keep 5 days of stock, so you need an awesome supply chain. In stock is like the god for them because of the nature of their business. We are probably among the best suppliers when it comes to supply chain. And which is why our market shares in Q-commerce are usually better than in general trade. Yeah, I see that working well for us. I see quick commerce growing as long as innovation lasts. For any new industry, in the beginning, there's a little bit of frothiness. Yeah, it will settle down. But I see 5, 6 large players operating in the urban sort of.
So what is the revenue share you're targeting for e-commerce?
You know, when you say a share, it has a numerator and a denominator. Yeah, I want the denominator also to grow, and that's why I said there is a second part of it, rural. Tamanna, for us, rural is only around 18%.
Yeah.
Our entitlement should be close to 40% because that's where the population stays. And therefore, when I think of that's why I don't commit a percentage. I do see quick commerce / e-commerce growing high double digits for the next few years.
Okay.
I would also want rural to pick up that pace. And now we have the brands and the sales and the technology to reach deep down.
You know, another big trend I would say in food. So what's happening next here?
No, we have to, it'll keep on getting
so the
thicker
rice
and thicker.
The rice is sort of,
and then the magic ingredient goes in, which is the milkmaid.
Which is the milkmaid.
Yeah.
Now, so my question is that in terms of trends, a couple of things that are happening, and let me talk about your European spending pattern kind of consumer right now. Looking at the health option, everything is sugar-free, gluten-free, fat-free. Is that something that you're tempted to look at all?
Well, absolutely. I must share this with you, by the way. Even today, as we speak, Maggi, which is a pretty well-known name in the noodle business, if you compare it to most brands in the market, including large brands, it is the lowest on sodium, which is salt. Yeah. So we always try to keep on reducing the salt and the sugar levels while maintaining the taste. And that's where being a company which has its own R&D at Manesar really helps.
No, I'm not talking about the quality of the food you already sell. I'm talking about adding in new categories and the pipeline for this this class of products.
Yeah, I think you've touched upon something very important. You know, a lot of time people speak about Gen Z, the millennial consumers, and most of the time we are talking about how to reach them, social media, blah, blah, blah. I think what is really important is, you know, there's a back of the pack. For a certain generation, this was a blind spot. You know, very few people looked at the back of the pack over here in the ingredients. Today's generation, you know, the 16 to 25, they start from here. Yeah. And that's a very, very important. So to appeal to Gen Z, while we need the personalization, the influencer marketing, the number one, and which is what we stand for, is the quality of the product, the sugar, the gluten. If you look at a Cerelac range, it actually has 0 added sucrose. Yeah, so there is a complete range across variants which is available. Even on our main products, I mean, even if we take something as simple as a tomato ketchup, among all the brands in the market, we would have the lowest sugar and the lowest sodium. Yeah, so we are working towards it. Yeah, not only on variants which are 0 sucrose equivalent, but even on the main brands, because that's what you know, the main variant which millions of Indians consume every day. So that is a focus area for us.
Do you think one place where I think compared to peers, maybe Nestle hasn't moved yet, is on inorganic growth and acquisitions of D2C brands, direct to consumer brands, which have become very cool suddenly? Or, you know, because of the kind of online marketplaces, people have options of what they consider as smaller homegrown boutique brands. And then you have large giants come and snap them up. You guys haven't done that yet. Are you planning to? What's in the pipeline?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to what I said. You know, let's start with the consumer first. D2C is again a route to market. You know, brands are born that way. There are gaps, consumer need areas which these brands fulfill. Yeah, and larger brands and larger CPG players like ourselves, traditionally we might have thought we need to address only the very large segments. Tamanna, that's where the flexibility comes in, because I now need to start addressing these smaller segments also in a sustainable way. Yeah. Now, if you take our portfolio, on one hand, we have some of the large brands like Maggi, Nescafe. I mean, these are leaders in their own space. And on the other hand, we have new businesses like Purina, Nespresso, which are, I call them icons. Even in my main categories, Tamanna, so if I took noodles, for example, my monthly penetration would be 17-18%. So there is huge headroom for growth. I mean, take laundry, for example. The monthly penetration would be 98%. All India. Yeah. Even in a place like Gurgaon, probably 50% of people consume noodles once a month. So today, when people ask me, is inorganic an important part of your priority? My belief is we have enough headroom of our growth, given the penetration of our categories, and also given the fact that we have icons like pet food, Nespresso, Nestle Professional, which is out of form. Having said that, whenever we find a brand which fills in a consumer gap in some of these areas, which is in sync with our philosophy, which is the quality of the product, what goes behind it, we would always be open to it.
But there's a difference between being open to it if you find a brand and actively looking
the
for
right
a good
people
fit.
keep on looking at it. The right people keep on looking at it. Yeah.
Okay. So
but it's our growth in this country. If you took the Nestle per capita consumption, India would be among the lowest in the world. Yeah. So there is a lot of headroom to grow our core businesses also. And Tamanna, I believe that a few big, bold always works. Yeah.
Rather than a huge inventory of various brands.
You know why I say this regularly is I don't want my team to get too distracted. Of course, there is a set of professionals whose full-time job is to look at these things, and they do that. But even if that happened and the right pricing, and I keep on saying the market is very frothy right now, which all of us can see, there is enough to get from our core consumers and our customers and our core brands.
So if I had to have one sort of headline or takeaway from our conversation of what do you think about inorganic growth or acquisition of hot D2C brands, it's not something you're jumping at right now. Fair?
I would be very thoughtful about it. Very thoughtful about it.
Okay. Okay. In terms of price trends and growth areas, so I think there has been some relief in raw material costs on some of the categories. Coffee, etc., has cooled off. Milk will cool off. Do you see that continuing? Which are the pain points you see maybe in the next couple of quarters as far as margins are concerned?
Yeah, I think it would be fair to say the two most volatile ones, where we've seen the most inflation, is coffee and cocoa. Yeah, they've stabilized. Yeah, they've still not gone back. They're still at highs right now, but the forecast seems to be that 26 would be better. The other ingredients like milk, wheat, they are more manageable, and the ranges are much more. I mean, if you look at coffee, it's up by a huge number in the last.
Has it impacted volume growth at all?
Oh, it does, because we try our best to make sure we bring cost optimization, and which is what I said at the beginning. It's at the heart of what we do, because we have to make sure the consumer, he or she, can afford to buy our products. Yeah, so we work really hard, and especially on the price point packs, the 2 rupee, 5 rupee, 10 rupee, we have to work really hard to keep the quality the same, despite and sometimes you take the hit on the margin. But our first thing is, how do we optimize costs? Yeah. The second thing is, we then look at what else can be done. It's a global company. We have the advantage of global sourcing, etc. And then, of course, at times you have to take a price hike. Now, the last 2 years for our businesses, most food businesses, the inflation was very high. Yeah, consumer sentiment was dire. We were coming out of the COVID era. So just the way there were some negative vectors getting aligned, I think right now the positive vectors are getting aligned.
Inflation is definitely one of them?
No, inflation is well under control now. Commodity costs are coming down. And I think the government did an awesome job by unlocking that large sum of money which consumers can spend through the GST and the income tax.
Yeah, which was in the last budget, absolutely. Yeah. Now, so in terms of what are going to be the super brands or the super drivers of your 4 verticals, I think milk didn't perform the way others did. 3 or 4 fired, at least last quarter.
I think last quarter, 3 out of the 4 were double digit, but even we had growth, value growth, even on the dairy and the nutrition portfolio. I am very, I always say this to people, that I am blessed that, all the people who've contributed. In some ways, if you look at a portfolio, we don't have too many brands. Yeah, which is awesome. So I have one culinary brand, which is Maggi. I have one coffee brand, which is Nescafe. I have 3 chocolate brands, but the large ones are Munch and Kit Kat. In each of these, let's take coffee, for example. Today, if you look at Nielsen numbers, tea to coffee could be around 70-30 nationally. In the north, it could be 80-20, 80 in favor of tea. But if you walked into any office complex, it's probably 50-50. Yeah. And we have machines which we put in which serves tea and coffee. So there is a huge trend of people drinking coffee, and not only the expensive 400 rupee cafe coffee, but normal coffee, black coffee at home. And which is the brand which is known for coffee in India.
But again, when I come back to that D2C, this premium consumer that you're talking about is more and more liking those boutique brands where it's all about, okay, we went and got third wave coffee from this single origin place, etc., etc. And then Nescafe is true and tested, no doubt about it.
And we have Nespresso.
But it's everywhere, right? It doesn't have
that's what I'm saying.
Story
Today,
with it.
a trip to the cafe, given our infrastructure, it has its own challenges. I'm saying for 13 to 15,000 rupees, you can have a Nespresso machine, which has we have probably some of the best origin coffees, including Indian coffee in the portion format. And you can have it with milk, the various variants. So we are present on the top end, and Nespresso worldwide is a very, very large business. If you walk into a Select City boutique, the Nespresso boutique, we don't talk about it so much, but you will see the coffee connoisseurs there who get trained. So we have a range of products. Yeah. The fact is, Tamanna, if penetration was 98%, then these growth problems start. Yeah. Do I want to fill into the cafe space? The answer is no. Right now, I have enough space for growth in in-house consumption. Yeah. And that's why I said I have a 2 rupee sachet, which people use. I also have a 700 rupee can, which is the roastery product. And then I have a 13,000 rupee Nespresso machine.
Is Nespresso the next big bet?
Oh, it is a very, very important. And that's why I said the 20-30 million households, for them Nespresso is the thing. Because, in India, you can't say this is the one bet across the country. It doesn't work like that, given the diversity of the income. And so for the urban centers, definitely Nespresso. But in the smaller towns, coffee penetration is still rising. And that's where the 2 rupee, the 5 rupee, the 10 rupee sachet plays a role.
Okay, let's take a look at what next here.
Yeah. So it's almost ready. I'm going to pour it out for you.
So do you follow a recipe, or is this very instinctive?
No. This is instinctive. I don't cook too much, but I can make awesome. I'm not promoting the brand, but most of us who stayed in boarding schools, boarding colleges, talk about Maggi all the time.
Yeah.
This weekend, there's the 30th anniversary of passing out of IIM Bangalore. And my wife and I both are batchmates. And one thing which everyone has told me is that when you come to Bangalore, please make sure we have enough Maggi. So we're just putting some cardamom powder on top. Yeah.
So, Manish, in terms of where you see taking the brand and the big change in, because you've talked through this interview about how less is more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you've come from the kind of place where more is less. If I were to describe Amazon in a way.
Selection.
You have to
you're right. Yeah.
sell everything under the sun and then the universe.
That's right.
So how does that change the way you look at the product?
So I think what is really important is, what drives penetration, what drives frequency. We need to invest behind our brands. Yeah. Sometimes the brands are not very good, and therefore money, the return on investment is very poor. But given the nature of our brands, because they're so few and they are pretty well recognized in the category, investment is the one thing which I'm planning to dial up. So a lot of the cost optimization, a lot of the technology pieces will go in helping us make ourselves more efficient for the consumer and the customer. And that's what the focus is on.
When you say investment, what is the Capex that you have earmarked?
So, Capex, last 2 years, financial years. The year before, we were at around 1,800 odd crores. Last year, we did around 2,000 crores. We have a greenfield factory coming up in Orissa.
Yes.
I mean, the groundwork has happened. We have additional lines coming up. The beauty of our business is if you get volume growth, cost per unit starts coming down, and we are seeing some very good volume growth.
So the volume growth was good in Q2, no doubt, but that's also because of a base effect to some extent. Relatively, it was looking good and was better than expectations.
Yes,
Again, no doubt.
Yes.
Now, the sustenance of that volume growth is
given
something which would need clarity.
given some of the macroeconomic things which I spoke about, and without getting into a forward-looking guidance, I would say we feel good about where we are right now. Yeah, because it's not just about, it gets more challenging when the category has very high penetration, when there are multiple players and it's only about market share. None of our businesses have that.
Yeah.
None of our businesses have that issue. I mean, penetration is very low. I mean, confectionery, shares are very low at 17%, but there is a lot of space to go. And confectionery penetration is also very low, by the way, in the country. So I think that's what makes it very, very exciting. Okay, we are now ready with the final product.
It looks beautiful, I must say. It looks just beautiful. So is this the original recipe come with the rose petals?
Yes. No, this is add-on. I wouldn't do that at home. But since it's a creative kitchen, so...
Cheers. This is amazing.
You must taste it and...
Be honest.
Absolutely honest. I spoke about customer centricity, so I have to hear what the customer says.
No, it is very good. It is very, very good. And not too sweet, milky, creamy.
That's the beauty of Milkmaid.
I'm going to go in for a second spoon. That's excellent. So, you're, of course, known for your leadership skills. You make a mean kheer. What else should we know about Manish Tiwary? What do you do on your off time? What do you do to relax?
Do you believe in 90-hour weeks?
No, I don't. I start at 7 in the morning. I've done that for the last 15 years. Even here, I start at 7 in the morning and I wrap up at 4:30. I don't believe in having meetings beyond 5 p.m. Given a choice, I wouldn't want people to work beyond 6 p.m. under any circumstances. I believe that if you have the right balance, you are far more productive. And whatever spare time I get, I enjoy running. I've been doing that for very long now. I'm not a good runner, I must clarify. But I run. So this is the season right now. So I ran Bangalore, then the Delhi one.
All the
Calcutta.
marathons, huh? You're a marathon runner.
Yeah. I love golf. Don't ask my handicap. It's too embarrassing. But this weather, despite the pollution, is so awesome for golf.
Now that's the recipe for success. Work efficiently and have enough of a balance.
Absolutely.
Just like this kheer. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much,
Thank
Manish,
you so much,
for
Tamanna.
speaking with us.
Thank
This
you.
has been a fantastic experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope you copy the recipe at home with Milkmaid.
Absolutely.
Thank you.